Welcome to What Offseason.
You already know what time it is. Welcome back to the What Offseason podcast, everybody. Atlanta sports freak Christian Morris is in the studio with me today to chop it up. Everything Atlanta Falcons. You know, Todd Gurley got signed with them. What version does Atlanta actually get of Todd Gurley? And of course, the Braves for sure had a crazy, wild offseason, and we dig through how they are faring for the upcoming Major League Baseball season. Of course, subscribe to us on Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, everywhere your podcasts are at. Let's get into it, Christian. It is great to finally have you on the show, bro. I got to ask you, how's the life of an Atlanta sports fan right now?
I think the life of any sports fan right now is pretty sorry, bro. We don't have any sports to watch. We're watching reruns.
Well, 96 finals, 97 finals coming back up, dude. The 03 World Series. I've seen literally every rerun that I could think of, dude, honestly.
It's crazy, man.
It is. Let's go ahead and dive into the Atlanta Falcons. Of course, you know they signed Todd Gurley to the one-year deal coming over from the Los Angeles Rams. So I got to ask you personally, as an Atlanta fan, because me just looking at the situation, are you concerned with his health?
I mean, that's obviously a huge concern. I mean, that was even a concern in his last years in his college days was how his knees were going to hold up.
I remember the knee injury actually disqualified him really from the Heisman because I thought Gurley was going to win the Heisman that year.
And so, I mean, it's been going on since college, but at the same time, you know, he came back from that knee injury, you know, in 2015, he rushed for, 1,100 yards. The next year, I mean, he only put up like 800. But then he followed it with two, 1,000+ yard seasons. Last year he was hurt, but the thing about it is too, it's just like Devontae Freeman, man. I mean,
Devontae Freeman had the same issue.
Exactly. I mean, if you can get a healthy Gurley, I mean, then obviously, I mean, that's you have a powerhouse in your backfield.
Of course, and he can catch the ball too. Great two-way player.
Right. With that being said, though, at the same time, I think he's a powerful addition to the team because he's going to keep the defense honest.
Oh, most definitely.
I mean, you and I both play Madden. You know how it is. I mean, you might have a halfway decent running back, but as long as you have a halfway decent running back, you never know when he might take the ball and run.
Exactly. All he needs is a cut in a lane.
I'm telling you, dude. And as long as he gets a cut in the lane, man. I mean, he might not be touchdown Gurley no more. I mean, he might not have those 75-yard rushes in him anymore. But I mean, it's still he can easily break off 15, 20 yards with a decent hole, decent cut. So
right. I agree with you. Me personally, too, like I said, looking into the situation, I was definitely concerned with his health because, you guys just got rid of Devontae Freeman, and he's still dealing with health issues as well, trying to get the contract with Seattle. But I think, obviously adding Gurley, it is going to be good, but you got to address his health because you wonder when he was in the Super Bowl riding the bike in the NFC Championship against New Orleans a few years ago, he wasn't that Todd Gurley. He was able to punch the ball into the end zone, but then you got to look at the question of, or rather look at the numbers. So like you said, he's been 1,000-yard rusher 3 out of the 5 years he's been in the NFL, actually never less than 1,100 yards when he's gotten into the 1,000-yard territory. You can look at 2017 with his carries, actually, his load management, his workload that a lot of people are talking about. 279 carries in 2017. And then you go to 256, and then you go down to 223 in the last year. And, roughly 280 in his best year in terms of carries. But then you look down to almost 220 last year. And now you just really got to look at the question of, will he be the LA Rams version? Less, more? I want to get your thoughts on it first.
Well, my thing, like you just broke it down. I mean, you went from, let's break it down from his first year in the league. I mean, you got, year 2015, 229 carries for 1,106 yards.
Exactly.
2016, you have 278 carries. It's only for 885 yards, averaging 3.2. It's not very big, but at the same time, I don't remember much about the 2016 season.
Right.
And then you go in the last year and you got 279, 256, and 223.
Yeah, that 223 is really eye-opening.
Right. I believe, and see, at the same time, though, you really can't pick at it because if you look back to his 2015 season, that was his second lowest, career attempts, 229, 6 more attempts, and he had almost 200 more rushing yards.
That's proof in the pudding right there.
But here's my thing.
You got addicted to those numbers.
But here's my thing, though. If you give Todd Gurley an extra 20 carries and you make it 243 for last season, who's to say he doesn't have, run 175, almost 1,000 yards again?
Another 1,000
even with the bum knee. I mean, I think about it this way. It's you talk about the Zekes, you talk about the Bo Jacksons, you talk about the Marshawn Lynch, and all of them, every single one of them.
All the powerhouses.
Right, but at the same time, you also have this argument, what kind of team were they playing with?
Exactly.
What kind of line do they have with them?
Exactly.
of course we're probably gonna get this later, but like, Tom Brady playing with Tampa Bay last season. Tom Brady had arguably his worst season he's ever had in the league ever.
Yeah. And he led the league in pass attempts, which is wild. The oldest
Exactly.
quarterback in the league led the league in pass attempts.
And
Man.
let me tell you why he sucked last season. He didn't have his line. He didn't have that 2,000-3,000 pound line that he's had the past 18, 20 years he's been in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think when it comes down to having Gurley in the backfield, we also got to put some people on our line.
You got to, and
If we don't have a line, we could have Vic in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
We could have Bo Jackson in his prime. We could have Jerry Rice in his prime.
Right.
Gronkowski, Kurt Warner,
Mm-hmm.
and if you don't have a line, those people are just like playing against middle schoolers. You know what I'm
Of
saying?
course,
I mean, you're gonna stomp them.
It's one. I say, man, every championship, every big moment, any defining moment in football is won and lost. It's made in the trenches, dude. Offensive line, defensive line.
You never hear the defense. The defense made a stand. No, when it's ever a huge play and it's a game decision play. Oh, the line made a stand. Oh, the line was able to break through and get Marshawn Lynch the touchdown to win the Super Bowl.
Right.
Of course, it didn't play out that way. Or you have it vice versa. You know what I'm saying? The Falcons line was able to stand up and hold Marshawn out the end zone. It's never the corner. When it comes down to it, the cornerbacks, the safeties, they're back there deflecting passes. When it comes down to it, you have to have your lines.
You got
offensive and defensively.
You got to have the trenches, 100%. And that also, we were asking, will he be the LA Rams version, of Todd Gurley? I'm going to say less because he's not 100%. Like you said, the knee is a big question, and we all know that. But this can also segue us into our next segment. So Atlanta's got to get the line beefed up. The trenches have to get handled first. And if you want, like you said, with all these great running backs, they had great lines to work behind, all the great quarterbacks. Great teams are made in the trenches. And if Gurley doesn't get it addressed up front in the trenches, I mean, it's not going to work, And you could look at Atlanta's line last year. Really, both sides of the line. I mean, they were bad at getting after the quarterback, and Matt Ryan there were quite a few games, 4, 5, 6 sacks. I want to say 9 sacks. It was somewhere between 7 and 9 sacks on the Thanksgiving game when they played New Orleans. But yeah, man, I think unfortunately the Falcons do get a lesser version of Todd Gurley. Like we said, he's a great player. Don't get us wrong, but the knee is something you got to question. And I want to segue, like I said, into this before we pop out of this Falcons segment. Overall, how do you think Atlanta holds up against the NFC South this season?
So the way that I see it, man, with the Falcons this season, you have our first game against the Seahawks. I believe we're going to lose that game.
Yeah.
Just because, like you said, the lines as far as it goes, the Seattle Seahawks every single year, for as long as I can remember, for as long as I've been heavy into football, they've always had at least a decent team.
Mm-hmm. They've been struggling with the O-line a little bit, though, but the D-line has been, they got Zeke Ansah, and they're obviously...
Well, like I said, I think they're more well-rounded than the Falcons are. The Falcons are still building, you know what I'm saying? The Falcons are like the 2000 Braves. They're still building.
Yeah, I feel that.
You get to the Cowboys, that's a toss-up, man. I mean, you could have the Cowboys one week that are, Dak's throwing 300 yards, Zeke's running, equivalent, 150, 200 yards, or you could have it where, Dak's running the ball over 6, 7 times, and you really don't know what you're gonna have out of the Cowboys. So I'm gonna toss that up and say that we're gonna get the luck on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's see. Next is we have the Chicago Bears.
That's definitely a W.
The defense for the Chicago Bears is tough, dude.
Yeah.
Like we just said, I'm saying, if you can't give your quarterback time to get the ball out, if you can't give your running backs room to get a lane, you're gonna shut that down. So if the defense locks up in that Bears game, we're gonna lose that game. If we can find some holes in defense, we win that one.
Right.
Packers, man, I don't see us beating the Packers.
I feel that. I agree with you.
I understand that Aaron Rodgers is old, but at the same time, you have all these young receivers. You have the young running backs.
It was good last year.
They have a hell of a line, both offensive and defensively. I don't see that one. Panthers, same boat as we're in. They're rebuilding, but I think honestly they're more sorry than we are in the rebuilding stages. I think we beat the Panthers. You take it to the Vikings, they have so many weapons on offense and defense. So many weapons.
Oh, yeah.
Dalvin Cook, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen. You got Harrison Smith. That's just to name a couple. That's going to be a hard game. We've done it before, and it's been that's like the one. Like, it seems like we always win the hardest games of the year. Like last year, we beat San Fran when San Fran was on that roll.
Mm-hmm.
And we beat the leader of the NFC, and we couldn't have a winning season.
Right. I feel that.
So honestly, I think we're going to upset the Vikings. Next is the Lions. I think.
What does that start y'all at the season at?
That starts us off at, let's see, we got 0-1, 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, 2-3, 3-3.
Okay.
4-3.
Okay.
5-3, 6-3 up until we meet the Saints.
Got you.
And of course, me and you best friends. I hate the Saints just as much as I hate you, but at the same time, I have to give it to them. I mean, slant to Tom. You heard me on the phone last year on the Thanksgiving game. We were talking about it, and I was like, "Watch this slant to Tom," and sure enough, slant to Tom. Can't cover it. Kamara, he is a weapon through the air. Yeah. He's a weapon on the ground. He's pretty much a slot receiver behind you in the halfback position.
Right.
So I think that we go 6-3 up until we hit the Saints, and then we make it 6-4. Next we meet the Raiders, 7-4. Meet y'all again just about every single season we split the 2 games.
We do. Yep.
So I'm gonna go ahead and have us right there, upsetting y'all at 8-4.
Heard.
We meet the Chargers. The Chargers are extremely underrated.
Yeah, they are. I think the Chargers. Well, they also got to take a step back because they don't have Phillip Rivers anymore. Now it's Tyrod Taylor, and I'm sorry, but Tyrod Taylor is.
But at the same time, you still have those weapons. You still have that defense.
Yeah,
the defense was good.
Allen, Darwin James.
Now, mind you, I really didn't pay attention to the Chargers because we don't really play them ever.
Right. Right.
So the Chargers, I really don't know how that one's gonna go. I'm gonna say we lose that one just because it's the Falcons. They call us 8-5 at this point, and then
just because it's the Falcons.
Just because it's the Falcons, man. I mean, that's my football team, but at the same time, dude, let's be realistic.
Right.
Then we have us meeting the Buccaneers. Like I said, dude, I think Tom Brady's days are over. Gronk retired for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
They have
He's
Mike.
Back, though.
Doesn't matter, man. Doesn't matter, man. I mean, come on. Look what happened.
Hurt.
Brett Favre retared and came back and didn't do squat, and he was one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game.
Right.
It goes for saying, in every other situation except for football, you might be as good once as you ever was, except not in football because you got to play at least 16 games.
Yep. Hard physical game.
Exactly. Gronk's an old man. Tom's an old man. The Tampa Bay does not have a line like New England had in the past. I look at him getting hit. I think we're going to stomp the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
So as of right there, I have us going, let's see, what's that, 9?
Going to stomp the Buccaneers. You heard it here first.
Yeah. I think that we're going to stomp the Buccaneers. And I think that has us right there going 9-5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 9-5. Next we meet the Chiefs. Not happening, bro. 9-8.
Mm-hmm.
Not happening. I mean, you have the powerhouse of Mahomes. We don't have a quarterback who could even dream of keeping up with Tyreek Hill. Then you got to look at who is it? Travis Kelce,
Sammy Watkins.
They just got I can't.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire from LSU.
Yeah, him. I mean, you have we're losing that game. I have us at 9-9.
I want to say the Saints play the Chiefs next year too.
So I want to, like I said, we lose that one, and then we have the Buccaneers again. So I'm saying the way that it's going. Instead of going, let's see, math is off. Instead of going 8-8, I have us going 9-7.
9-7
next season. Yeah.
Got it. All right.
With that being said, let's look at the division games. Like I said, I believe we're going to win both the Buccaneers division games.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we're going to split the Saints division games,
mm-hmm.
and I believe unless we just get unlucky as all hell, man, I think we're going to beat the Panthers as well. I honestly think the way that it's looking, in the NFC South, it will be it'll be Saints, Falcons, Panthers, Bucks is the way that I see it.
Okay.
That's my call.
Saints, Falcons. Wow, Bucks in the 4th spot?
Yes.
Wow. Yes, you are not on the Buccaneers hype train. I'm not on it either. I just see the weapons.
Right. I mean, of course they have weapons. Like you said, they have Tom Brady. They have Mike Evans. They have Gronkowski.
Godwin, Cameron Bray, OJ Howard.
I mean, they do have weapons.
No Dominican Sue.
But like we just said, I'm saying with the Gurley issue,
mm-hmm.
Tom Brady's not going to have the line that he had at New England, man.
Well, actually, so here's the thing. I actually did my research on that, and in my YouTube debut, Tampa Bay had the 6th best offensive line last year overall. They were 6th overall in general, like pass protection. So, I mean, if you give Brady a top 7 line, man. It's okay. I'll let you recant your statement later on in the season.
We'll see. I at least have Saints Falcons. I mean, it might
Saints Falcons 1 and 2
yeah,
seed.
Honestly, with it, I mean, now that you look at it like that, and the Panthers are, like I said, rebuilding. They don't have Cam. They don't have Ron Rivera. They've lost Luke Kuechly.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really have anything except Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, they got Bridgewater.
Yeah.
And he's still a project, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, once he took that hit, when he was playing for the Vikings, when he took that hit, I don't think he's played the same since that one hit.
Definitely not.
And anybody who's watched football knows exactly what hit I'm talking about.
Right.
But with that, now that you say that, yeah, I do want to recant that statement. Now I'm going to say I do have it going Saints, Falcons, Bucks, Panthers.
Saints, Falcons, Bucks, Panthers. That's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's where I have it going.
Got it. All right. You got it. So I'm going to say before we get on into the Braves, I'm definitely going to say I'm gonna say Saints, Bucks, Falcons, Panthers, just because I feel like the Buccaneers are gonna be good. I got the Bucks winning 10 games next year, but it's all subjective. Brady's gonna have that line, and Brady's gonna be able to get the ball down the field. He'll actually have some nameable, superstar receivers. But either way, good talks about the Falcons. Now we're gonna segue into the Atlanta Braves here. So we really want to address the bullpen in general. We got King Felix this past season. Unfortunately, it's kind of starting to look like a yawn to me because Christian's about to get into the numbers with you guys in terms of ERA and WHIP. But, Felix is on the back end of his great days. I don't even know if I'd say on the back end of his prime. He's kind of just in the game playing right now, which I respect him. He's really an inspiration to still be playing. And, you even look back, August 15th of 2012 was actually the last perfect game that was thrown in Major League Baseball. And it was by King Felix. But Christian, I want you to kick us off with these numbers. What concerns you the most about, I guess, King Felix with the Braves signing him?
My thing is, so I'm gonna start off with positives, man. So I mean, at the same time, it's just like adding like Bartolo Colon to your pen.
Right.
As of right now, Bartolo Colon couldn't pitch to save his life, but
Right.
if you have him in the pen, you have that mentality,
Right.
Because you have young pitchers like Max Fried and Mike Soroka. I can't
wait to see Soroka
they're
next year.
phenomenal pitchers already. I mean, I think it was Soroka went 10-1 last year to start off as like his first 10 games. He went 9-1 or 10-1 or something like that. I mean,
he started like 10-2
no
or
one
something.
could touch him as a rookie.
Right.
And so I mean, you have talent like Max Fried, you have talent like Mike Soroka. I mean, even as far as
Julio Teheran's got his days.
Julio Teheran has his days. I say you take Mike Fultonevich and you throw him in the garbage can. Let me keep it family friendly. I'm not getting mad, but I think you take Mike Fultonevich and you send him down to -3A baseball, man. Honestly, with the way he pitches, but no, I mean, it's always awesome to have that positive, definite,
potential in your bullpen.
Right, potential in your bullpen. And then, I mean, just to have that strong mentality of, a dominant, there we go, dominant pitcher's mentality.
Right.
Just to have that in the bullpen, to be able to say, hey, I'm saying, you're letting it off the fingers this way and it's coming off.
And that's what you think King Felix will bring, is that veteran presence.
I think that, yes, because if you look back at it, now I'm going to get into the boring stuff, which is the numbers.
No, it's not boring. Don't tell the folks that, brother. It's proof is in the pudding, dog.
Proof is in the pudding. All right, we can edit that part out. All right, so I'm gonna get down in the numbers. So I mean, if you have it like this right here, King Felix came in the league in 2005.
Wow.
Yes, he only had 12 games played. It was a split decision, 4 wins, 4 losses, but he posted an ERA of 2.67.
Okay.
The next year, 31 games with an ERA of 4.52. 31 games, that's a hell of a low ERA to have 31 games.
Have started. He got a decision on what was his record?
Let's see. So 12 wins, 14 losses. You know what I'm saying? So not huge, but I mean at the same time, it's still very dominant. He was out there just about every single one of the starts he was supposed to start, he was out there.
Oh yeah.
Next year you follow up 30 games, 14 wins, 7 losses, ERA of 3.92.
Definitely a bounce back year for King Felix.
Definitely. You get up into the 2009, 2010, 2011 stretch. He's 34 games, both 2009, 2010, and is posting an ERA of 2.49 and 2.27.
Yeah.
And
I think when you get below 2.5, bro, you're really pitching well in the majors.
And then the year of his perfect game, 2012, ERA of 3.06, right? Yeah. And so I mean, if you look at it, hebetween 2005 and let's see, 2016. So for 11 years, he's throwing, except for the exception of that 2006 year where he threw a 4.52.
But he was in 31 games.
Right,
also.
right.
And
he's throwing an average of about 2.5 because I'm seeing here 2.4, 2.7, 3.4, 3.06, 3.04, 2.14.
Yeah.
You get in his past 3 years, man. 16 games played in 2017. 16 games played, 4.36 ERA with 6 wins, 5 losses. 2018,
you can see him falling off the cliff.
And not even like a slow downfall. Like how Clayton Kershaw has been the last 4 or 5 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
It's quick, rapidly it's losing, because then you go to the next season, 2018, 29 games, 8 wins, 14 losses, 5.55 ERA.
Oh.
And then you get
you shouldn't be allowed to have a ERA above a 3.5.
Dude, and then you get in the real disgusting stuff, and that's last year. 2019, games played 15, 1 win, 8 losses, and an ERA of 6.4. Do I think you have King Felix sitting on a mound, starting a game off and having it take us to the postseason? I don't believe so at all.
I believe that too.
I don't think, I honestly think that you keep the starting rotation that you had from last season, And honestly, you make King Felix sort of like a pitch coach, a pitching coach
Yeah.
that can pitch at the same time.
Yeah, honestly, like have him really like maybe have King Felix on a load management next year, and because how many games did he play last year? You said 16.
Right.
Maybe only have him play, maybe he can even get 20 games in, but maybe only have him out there for 3 or 4 innings, still give him that respect of the veteran, and then have him in the pen, like you said. I would agree with that.
Or have him have an extra Tukey Toussaint.
Right.
You have games the last year, what I'm saying? And every single one of them is, guilty of it, except for Soroka and Freed. Every single pitch that we had last year is guilty of it. You know what I'm saying? They had the one game where, you in the second inning and somehow or another you're down 7-0.
Right.
You're not going to keep him out there and have him waste his arm. He's one of your aces.
Exactly.
He's supposed to be regardless.
Exactly.
So they bring in Tukey. And Tukey throws 7, 8 innings, you know what I'm saying? Just because why not? We're losing, how much more damage can I do? I think in a situation like that, King Felix is awesome to bring in. Because
really?
Yes. At the same time, if you're already down, like let's say 6, 7, 8 runs.
Right.
And
it's kind of like when you put the second string in.
It's almost like when you do the position pitcher on the mound or a position player on the pitching mound. You know what I'm saying? It's like okay, we've gotten Cream, but at the same time, he still has the mentality of he can still pit it over the plate at 95 miles an hour.
Right.
I believe he can still pit. He might not be like Maddox and be able to paint the corners, but I believe that he still has some of his location.
Right.
And he still has his stuff.
Right.
Even with posting a 6.4 ERA last season, I think he still has his stuff. I still don't put him in our starting rotation. I still don't put him in our starting 5.
Got it. So King Felix is not a starter. He's more of a veteran presence, more of a mentor. Bring him in maybe when the game's a little out of hand in terms of, we're losing. I'm following what you're saying. I get it because, you can't discount the mentals he's got. You can't discount the knowledge that he brings.
He's taking care of his mentals and he's taking care of his chickens, cuz. That is doing. I got to give it to the man.
Right.
It's 2005 he came in the league. You know what I'm saying? It's 15 years later and he's still on the mound.
Right.
I got to.
Teams still have interest in him, so I respect it. But I do agree with you on everything you said about the bullpen, and I like your take on King Felix. I definitely feel like it's more for the mental, standpoint and the knowledge, more than obviously the physical being. But let's go ahead and get over into this next one. And of course, people ask this all the time, but I have yet to address it on the podcast. And now that I have someone I actually taught baseball, taught you the game of baseball rather, and you love the Braves so much. Is this the season to go all the way for the Braves? Do you think it's realistic? Where do you see, how do you see their season playing out? Right. And with Josh Donaldson leaving,
Oh, dude. We're about to. This is about to be a long segment, guys. So when you get down to it, the last time the season was short and obviously won the World Series. With that being said, the Major League PA Players Association, they put up the idea of a 114 game season that got nixed. Now they're talking about a 50-60 game season. If you look at it,
like 82 games maybe is what they might be shooting for.
Something like that. Something ridiculous. But if you look at it, bro, honestly, next year could be as a toss-up. The Orioles, for all we know, could win the World Series. Because if you look at it, statistically speaking, at least as long as I've been watching baseball, which has only been about 3 or 4 years, statistically speaking, just like the Nationals were last year, the Braves are a second half team. You know what I'm saying? They do just good enough in the very first half of the season to make sure they keep their hopes alive.
Stay relevant.
Right. And then as soon as the All-Star break is over, dude, they light on fire and they you got to think about it. Last season, we held the first and second spot for after the 7th inning for home runs, RBIs, hits, and I want to say lowest DRA after the 7th inning.
Wow.
You got to think. You have that high-powered offense. And you got to think. We made great additions in the middle of the season. Austin Riley, huge addition.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We've just added Marcelo Zuna, who we saw last year. The Cards. He was
carved us up in the playoffs.
Not even really. Honestly, like I said, that's the reason why I want to put Mike Foltynewicz in negative 3A baseballs because how do you go out and put 7 dominant, almost hitless innings up in your prior start, and then you got, now mind you, I get it, some of them were tricklers up the baseline that you just couldn't get to, but 10 runs in the first inning, bro, for real,
right,
in the postseason,
right,
and you're supposed to be an ace. Like at one point in time you were considered an ace. No, get out of here.
Yeah, like we're putting you on in the win it all game.
Right. No, honestly, if you really want to look at it this way, King Felix could take your spot and you can be a mop up guy. Cause I don't like Mike Foltynewicz.
I feel that. 100%.
Great pickups, so honestly, if you think about it, if they have an 82 game season, it was like the Nats last year. When the Nats started out, they were like 5-25 starting out. I don't know if to say the exact numbers, but it was
they were like 14-35 or something. They had the worst league.
They had
the worst record in baseball.
They were at the bottom of the discussion for World Series. And look what happened to them after the half.
Yeah.
That being said, that's not to say that, with all this time that we've had off with the COVID-19 stuff, that they're not sitting in their yards practicing how to hit a baseball, because I guarantee you they are.
Of course.
And they can come out and surprise us. But at the same time, like I said, we don't know how many games we're going to have.
Right.
We don't know if we're going to have an all-star break.
Wow, I didn't even think about that, brother.
Yeah, I mean,
We
honestly,
don't even know if we're gonna have an all-star break.
dude, it was supposed to be in Atlanta this year. It was supposed to be
next season.
Oh, was it next season?
Yep.
2021.
Yep, 2021. Because
Okay.
baseball always ends in October, starts in the spring. But that's gonna be so whack.
Yeah,
We were gonna try to be there.
Right.
We
And so-
have to be there, man.
And so that's my thing is, like, I mean, you might not even have an all-star break.
Right.
If you look at it from this way, I mean, now mind you, these players are getting paid millions of dollars just to swing a bat at a ball, to throw a ball.
Right.
But at the same time, this is their job.
Of course.
So with that being said, I mean, the money that's going to be lost, I mean, they're talking even with the 114 game plan that they put in place before it was shot down.
Mm-hmm.
They put that in place with every single bit of postseason bonuses being taken away from the players.
Yep.
So with that being said, I mean, you got to think about it. I mean, yeah, it's a sport, but I mean, how are you going to have people watch a sport if people aren't going to play? Because people aren't going to play if you don't pay them.
Right.
The people out here that are like the Ronald Acuñas,
Mm-hmm.
and like the let's see here, like I mean the Josh Donaldsons.
Right.
They know their worth.
Right. The Mike Trouts. And the
Right.
Bryce
They
Harper,
know their
those
worth,
others.
and they're not going to get up here and swing a bat for us to watch for nothing.
Right.
No matter how fun the game is, it's not just a pickup game. They have bills to pay.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, man, I really don't know. It could honestly be a toss up. Like I said, dude, the Orioles, who have been trashed for as long as I've known about baseball,
Mm-hmm.
they could come through
Mm-hmm.
this season. They could get, all it takes, especially if it shortens it to 80 games. You got to think you're 500 at 40 wins.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
how do you have a winning season with 40? I mean, how do you solidify yourself in stone with 40 wins versus 40 losses?
Exactly.
Or
If you're
50
40 and 40.
Or 50 versus 30.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
if you're not like 60-20 or above, everybody's going to be like, or at least like 55-25 and above.
Right.
Like everybody's going to be kind of scratching their head because
and then
it's
you
really
have,
like a fine line you're walking right there.
and then you have it this way. You take all the great teams in baseball. What happens when you get to, like, how they do wild cards? Okay, well, the two best, whatever, in the division, the two best that are outside of guaranteed playoff spots play for the wild card.
Right.
Okay, let's say that if we get through the season and you've got 5 or 6 people that are 65 wins in the wild card section. I mean, are you going to have? I mean, like I said, what if it's 5 or 7 or 3?
What's the proposal rather for the playoff?
Right,
format
because-
if we go forward with X amount of games.
Because used to, what you would do is if you had, let's say the Braves and the Nationals both had, let's say, 98 wins and whatever math losses, right?
Right.
And it's the end of the season. There's no more games left to play. Well, they're going to make the Washington Nationals and the Atlanta Braves play a game to see who gets the other game.
Right. The tiebreaker, basically.
Right. How do you do that if there's 3 teams or 5 teams or 7?
Right.
Because no one from them to play. You know what I'm saying? So
Everybody said there's going to be so many asterisks in the stat books for
Right.
like all these sports that come back after COVID.
and so that's my.
It's
thing.
going to be interesting to see though, because like with the draft being on TV, like I think that was my favorite part is like being able to see those young athletes in the homes with their parents and just seeing the raw emotion once they got drafted, and like we wouldn't have been able to see that, raw from everybody had it not been for Corona, everything having to be remotely.
Right. And here's my thing. I think the football season, is going to go off without a hitch.
Right.
I think we're going to have every single football game that we're supposed to have. Now, mind you, they're probably going to have, crowd restrictions and, fan restrictions, blah, blah, blah.
There's reports that one league is reported to lose $640K a game
But
without fans in the stands.
That's crazy. But here's my thing. I mean, it is June 3rd.
Right.
If you think about it, All-Star breaks in a month. We're halfway through the baseball season already.
Yep.
I mean, I don't understand. I mean, honestly, if I were them, and it sucks to this because baseball is one of my favorite sports, I say you cancel the 2020 baseball season. You kick it off in 2021.
That's what I was telling Jacob in the couple episodes ago when I had Jacob Frey on. I was like, I low-key don't even think we see baseball because, the 112, 14 game plan, whatever, it got rejected in. Now you're just on the fence of, if these players are wanting to play, like you said, without getting paid. I mean, it was projected with Mike Trout, $35 million is what he would be projected to make. But with the new proposal, he would make like 7.25.
Yeah, and Mike Trout's worth way more than that.
Right. He would make a fifth of his cut. And it's like, some people are like, oh, these guys make so much, but at the end of the day, that isn't what they agreed on, one. And two, once you start making so much money, you start living that type of money lifestyle.
Right.
And if he takes a basically 80% pay cut for the next season and loses $28 million, how is he going to be incentivized to come back next year? You know, how is the league going to make up to that for him? Because where is his lost contract going to be made up that? Because of course, when you sign a contract, you don't anticipate a pandemic to stop the money flow. You know, the cash flow. I don't know if there's, you know, MLB insurance. I'm sure there is for, you know, money situations of this type. But I kind of agree with you, man. You can't even, you know, for starters, is this a season to go all the way for the Braves? I would say no, even if Corona wasn't happening. But with everything, it's, you know, you don't know how everybody's sitting back and prepping at the end of the day. So I feel, you know, and like you said, with Donaldson leaving, that was a big hole to fill. You know, they got Camargo, of course, but I think the Braves will be well rounded. You know, maybe about, I don't know, a little bit above 500, maybe about the 60% win range. But
I think for the Braves to be good, I think as far as it goes,
it's got to
it's plain and simple. Exactly. I mean, we have every single offensive powerhouse that you could think of. I mean, all the bats. Every single position can hit the ball.
Right.
First through third, catcher, and all the outfit. Every single one of them.
There's got Cervelli too.
Right. I mean, every single one of them can hit the ball and play.
Mm-hmm.
We have a great starting lineup with Dallas Keuchel.
Yeah.
Max Fried.
Yeah.
Mike Soroka.
Soroka's going to be our ace within 3 years. Watch. If not within 2 years, bro.
I believe he'll be, if not next year.
Right. Like this season coming, he could just really emerge.
Right. So you have Keuchel, Soroka, Fried, Teron, and then you have either Felix or Fulton Evans.
I would rather have Felix in that 5, yeah. Right. Fulton Evans does need to go back down, dude.
But at the same time, though, right? So I mean, at the same time, so with looking at that, you're like, okay, so every 4 out of 5 games, we're going to win those.
Yeah.
Okay. That's until you get to the bullpen.
Yep.
We don't have crap for a bullpen.
Right.
If you think about it, dude, we lost our closer like 8 games in last year.
Yep.
Viz Cayeno was out for the season like 8 games in last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to say that it was AJ Minter who took the closing spot, and he's not a closing pitcher.
Nope.
He does not have the mentals to be a closing pitcher. When the game's on the line and you're down by a run, and you know, oh crap, if I you know, you have, you know, person on second and you go, oh crap, I don't know if I get him on first. You know, I got Bryce Harper coming up and he can hit a 3-run bomb and now I'm down by 2.
Right.
You know, he can't get through that mentally. AJ Minter can. Whereas Viz Cayeno could. He might not have the location and the stuff that, you know, that the closer should have, you know, like the Kenley Jensens and the things like that should have. But at the same time, as far as a closer go, we still had a closer.
Right.
You know, I think it was a really good idea taking Newcomb and putting him in the bullpen instead of having him start.
Right. I went to his actual first game.
Yeah, we both did.
Mm-hmm.
We were there.
That was amazing.
I think that, you know, you have Sean Newcomb in the long relief, you know, areas because he has the stamina to be a starting pitcher. So you know that he can, you know, he can pitch, you know, he can take over the game in inning 5 and pitch to inning 8 if need be.
Right.
I mean, really, we just need to pick up 2 or 3, you know, 2 or 3. Really, we just need 2 or 3 players that can throw a freaking ball over the plate, man.
Yeah.
Late in the game.
I agree.
I think if we had 2 or 3 additions to our bullpen that actually were worth, you know, half their weight in gold.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
feel that
because the ones we have in the bullpen right now ain't worth their shoelaces in gold.
Right.
You know, and if you look at it like that, I mean, it as far as it goes is, like I said. And last year, I mean, you keep talking about Donaldson leaving, man. I think the Braves are stupid. The Braves should have paid him. Not just simply because of his bat. I mean, obviously he's the bringer of rain. You know what I'm saying? Then you have the Acuna bombs and blah blah blah. Everybody who hits home runs is gonna have a nickname. You know, it's not about that. It's not about what he could do with that bat. There were a plethora of games that we won simply because of him standing on third base.
Yep.
You pick Camargo in that same spot, those balls are getting by him.
Oh yeah, 100%. Those games aren't won without Donaldson there.
I have full respect for Camargo because he can play second, shortstop, and third base, and he can do it on a major league level.
I agree.
But at the same time, and you know, Dansby's a hell of a shortstop too, but he's not. I honestly think, man, we need a better third baseman. We need to put another third baseman like Donaldson, at least another glove like Donaldson on third base.
Yep.
Pick Camargo at shortstop and put Dansby on the bench. With that being said, if we do get this, and you talk about DHs, and you're like, who's going to be the DH for Atlanta?
Mm-hmm.
I think what you do is, depending on the fatigue level of the players, I think you alternate that between Ozuna and Ridley.
Gotcha.
Because Ridley has
Riley?
Riley Ridley. Is it Austin? Yeah, I'm thinking football, Riley Ridley.
I'm thinking Falcons right now.
Austin Riley. Thank you, man. Austin Riley. You know, you have Austin Riley and you have Marcell Ozuna. I think what you do is like, you know, obviously if you're on a road trip, you've got 3 series on the road, and you have Ozuna who's the first 3 nights he's been the DH. You know what I'm saying? Give him a break. Put Austin Riley on the plate.
Right.
I think you keep Freddie at first. You keep Albies at second. we don't have a third baseman, man. I would say Camargo at short and Donaldson at third because that was, I mean, how do you beat that?
Right.
Unless you have Fulton Evans on the mound, of course.
I love it, dude.
But I mean, so right now we're looking at Dansby at short, Camargo at third. It's a toss up. Ender and Ciarte the past couple of years has been dealing with injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Last year
I love Ender.
I love him too, man. I love him too. But last year, I mean, at the end of the season, when it came time for when we needed Ender and Ciarte in the lineup, he was hurt.
Right.
And I mean, honestly, too, you can also blame that on Mike Snicker because he had just come back from a hamstring injury, and Mike Snicker put him on the pinch run. Mm-hmm. That's not how you heal a hamstring. You're not sprinting from third to home on a little trickle ball to first base.
Right.
It's not how you do it. That's how you re-injure yourself and cost yourself the rest of the season, like what happened.
Ciarte was pissed about that hamstring injury. When
dude, I would have been too.
Yeah, he slammed his helmet down so hard after that. But I remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah, man. I was watching. I think we were watching the game together, drinking beer and eating hamburgers.
Yeah.
Man. But here's my thing: so you keep Acuna in the lineup, you never take him out. You know what I'm saying? Unless he gets hit in the face by a fastball doing 98 miles an hour, like Giancarlo Stanton did, he's in the lineup every single night.
Right.
I'm being serious. Whatever. But I think that you have, and Nick Markakis. I mean, you think back to when he played for, I want to say it was the Detroit Tigers.
Right.
I mean, he's just like Matt Ryan. He's a good outfielder. He's not a great one. So I think that you keep Acuna. If you can keep Ciarte heavy, you keep Acuna, Ciarte, and I think you keep, whoever you have DHing, you keep the opposite one. So if you have, Ozuna DHing, you have Austin Riley and, outfield.
Right.
Or vice versa.
Right.
With that being said, honestly, there's still a lot of time. We had like the midseason trades like that. I think you pick up a third baseman and you put Dansby on the bench. So you have a bench of 3 people.
Right.
At the very least.
Right. This is your whole rundown for the Braves season, huh?
I mean, I told you it's gonna be a long.
No, you're good. You're good, man. You're good. I'm all ears for you. I'm agreeing with you, dude. I do agree, definitely. I know you love the Bravos.
Donaldson. You really got to. You want to hate these players for not, for being like you want to call them selfish a-holes.
Yeah.
And say just take the $3 million for a year and play for us because you're great.
Right.
But at the same time, like I said, we won a plethora of those games that we won, not off offense, but on Donaldson's defense alone.
Oh, easily on his shoulders.
And he knew that.
Right.
I think letting him go. I think letting Donaldson go. I think that's dumber than letting Hayward go.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, look who we have in the outfield now: Ciarte, Markakis, Acuna, Austin Riley.
Right.
I think it was dumber letting Justin Upton go because again, look who we have in the outfield: Acuna, Riley, Markakis.
Right. I definitely agree. I didn't even think about that. I definitely agree with that perspective.
I mean, lose an outfielder.
Yeah.
Someone can run a ball down.
Exactly.
I mean, you can have, you can train anybody.
In my opinion, outfield is the least like
strenuous.
Yeah, well, not even strenuous. I'd say it's the most strenuous football running you have to do, and you have to have one of the best arms.
Like mentally, I mean.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about if I don't throw this, if I double clutch this ball, that's a base hit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's pretty much if I don't throw this ball hard enough, he might get across the plate.
Right.
I gotta get it in the infield.
Yeah, it's not as I'm not undermining anything, but it's not as skillful. I've tried playing outfield versus on the infield, and it's definitely a lot tougher. Reflexes and instincts have to be a lot faster on that infield.
So honestly, like I said, we signed Acuna to what, 9 years? I think it was last year. 7 years, 7.
It was like 9.
I think it was 9.
Yeah, it was somewhere around 10 in the $100 million range.
Right. And so you don't have to worry about having an outfield, an outfit like that right there. Ciarte, it's almost like the face of the franchise.
Right.
Freeman and Ciarte. I mean, who else do you think of when you think of the Braves? Oh, Ender and Ciarte.
Right.
Freddie Freeman.
Right.
Ender's not going anywhere. If you want to let Markakis walk, let Markakis walk. Because like I said, he's a good outfielder. He's not a great one.
Yeah.
I think what you
He's
do
been
is,
in the game for a minute.
I think what you do is you sacrifice an outfielder and you keep Josh Donaldson and you pay him. But of course, that's in the past now.
Right.
I want to say, didn't he go to the Twins? He went to the Twins.
Yes, he did.
4 years?
Something like that, yeah.
The Twins, I wouldn't be surprised if the Twins do something.
You're right.
Because if you think about it, bro, you had Justin Bohr, or not Justin Bohr. Yeah, you did. You had Bohr, Smoke, Donaldson, and Batista.
Sheesh.
On the Toronto Blue Jay team when they beat the Texas Rangers, and it wasn't just because of Batista or just Donaldson. They're great players,
right?
Hands
down, they were
and if you look at it, bro, I'm not even sure if you realize this. Early in the season last year, like the very first, I'm gonna say like 3 weeks of the season. Guess who was in our lineup? Jose Bautista.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. We
had literally the half of the 4 people who made that Toronto Blue Jays World Series team on our team. Why'd we get rid of Batista?
Right.
Why'd we have to go and be stupid and get rid of Donaldson?
Atlanta's cheap, man. The
cheap,
Braves are
man.
cheap. Atlanta sports are cheap, but not, especially the Braves, bro. And that's why when I was telling you, earlier today when I was talking about the really great team that, in my opinion, that we had, with Hayward and Upton, and we had Andrelton Simmons at short, David Ross at catcher. They were cheap. They didn't want to pay anybody, and that's why we don't have any of those players. We didn't want to pay Hayward. We didn't want to play David Ross. David Ross went to the Astros, and that was Evan Gattis. I'm sorry. David Ross went, where did he go, man? I don't remember where he went, but, he left because we couldn't pay him. And like I said, Hayward left because we couldn't pay him. And, we'll pay Freddie, of course, and we paid Acuna, but, and I was kind of shocked when we paid Acuna because, if you look at it, it's not big money. It seems big, but that's over, 10 years.
That's $10 million a year. He ain't making jack squat compared to Mike
Right.
37-3.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. But I definitely agree that Acuna will get his big payday, as long as he keeps hustling. And he's an up and coming star. He has a lot of potential. We have a player on our team that has potential to be the face of the franchise, to be the face of a league.
That's my thing, man, is if you look at it, dude, is we don't have a player. We've got about 10 players, man.
Yeah.
Mike Soroka, Max Fried, Ronald Acuna.
Just raw talent.
Awesome, that are young. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because as you see, you see, hell, Verlander's 40 years old. Verlander's 40 years old. And he's still dominant.
Oh, yeah. Very dominant.
Who's to say that Soroka isn't the next, Maddox or Smoltz?
Right. You're not wrong, man. Well, the way he came out, but, obviously time will tell. And that's the same thing with Acuna, too. But I think I do agree with all the raw talent, but I think the Braves in their sole possession have a player with the potential to be the face of the league. Acuna could be the next Bryce Harper. He could be the next Mike Trout. With the way he's playing consistently, the power is getting better every year. With power usually comes, the contact, give or take on that. But I agree with you, dude. Tenfold, 100%. But that's going to wrap up today's episode of the What Offseason podcast. I appreciate everyone taking the time out of their day to tune in for this packed show. Christian, of course, was in the studio with me today, man. How was your time on the show, dude?
I enjoyed it.
Good, man.
Now that we're close, we need to do this more often.
We do.
Y'all, shout out to my boy Adam, up and coming podcaster, man. Let's get this stuff actual studios, man. Let's get hey, time to get some money in here. Start paying your boy.
I know, man. It's time. Hey, we're building a home studio too. We're gonna have that coming for you guys. Updates on all that, but of course, never forget our full episodes are always available on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. Go subscribe to us and be sure to write a review. Throw in some topics maybe you'd want to hear on the show. If you want to be on the show, let me know. I love having guests on the podcast, guys. You can come right in the studio with me and we will make a great episode. If you're in a hurry, but you want to stay in the loop of the show, of course, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Our banners are on Facebook and Twitter, so you can find our social media handles. Stay tuned, of course, for our next episode coming. This is What Offseason signing out, everybody.